everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Today on Bones Collector we're continuing our series where Lori and I are playing our way through our board gaming library. We're going to play a couple of games, 2 or 3 games each week, and make a video about it and pass it on to you, and I hope you enjoy them. Hey you guys, how you doing? Welcome to commercial-free Bones Collector, and today I'm going to talk to you about a game Lori and I just got done playing called Tiletum or Tiletum or Tiletum, or however you want to say it. I don't know. I don't know how you say it. I've heard everybody pronounce it in 7 different ways, and I don't know which is correct. It is a town, you know, and that's what one of the T-Series games from Daniele Tascini and Simone Luciani. And these guys have done a lot of great board games. I mean, it's a great design team, and they've used other designers also. And I have Lorenzo sitting here because Simone Luciani was involved with Lorenzo Il Magnifico, a game which I absolutely love. And I'll tell you what point I'm going to make about that in a second. This game is a 2022 title. It has a solo variant, so it plays 1 to 4. And the first thing I'm going to do is talk about the production of the game. It has a good box and no insert. The board is linen, and it's a beautiful board. I mean, I really like this board. Didn't you?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Scoring track has got huge numbers on it. I love that. Everything on here you can see pretty well. It's a rather large board. It's a 6-fold, so it's rather large. But everything is distinctive about it, and I mean by that is you have certain areas where you're doing things, and it's not hard to tell which is which. So that's very nice. All the tiles in the game are thick tiles. The dice are nice, chunky dice, D6s by the way. Player boards are nice and thick. The rule book is clear and easy to read. Wooden pillars and wooden houses and wooden architects and wooden merchants, so those are all wood. It has a wheel here, kind of a thing that has to spin during the game, and there's only 2 points I wanted to make about if they do a reprint. They need a magnet in here like they do in Merchants of the Dark Road by Elf Creek Games. That they missed the boat on that. You have to turn this by hand. You can, I don't know, it just seems to me that's going to be the standard now. Is going to have if you're going to put a wheel like this on the board, to put a magnet underneath it, and like Merchants of the Dark Road from Elf Creek Games, because that is just magnificent. This is an action point, dice rolling and drafting, set collection, endgame bonuses game. The winning condition is the most points. You can tell by it has a point track. This action point system is nice, but you can lose your way very easily with these because you're going to take an action on this wheel, and I'll show you how the game works in a second. But anyways, these action point tokens, you're using them, the same tokens for every action. I think it would have been easier if they had made separate action tokens. I know that would cost more for each different action, because you lose your way on what you're spending your action point tokens on.
Well, because you can spend it on different things during one turn. You could have different actions going on, and it gets confusing. Yeah, so that's something I think they could. But other than that, I mean, this game is wonderfully produced. I'm going to tell you right now, it's wonderfully produced. Very nicely done for the type of game that this is. This is a Euro game, and they specialize in this. Simone Luciani and Daniele Tascini, they specialize in these thinky Euros, and this is no exception to, you know, Teotihuacan and Tequenu and To Want to See You.
To Want to See You.
Zolkin.
Don't Want to See You. Zolkin Mind Calendar. And we haven't kept any of their games. I'm going to be honest with you.
You played them all.
Yeah, played them all. And but they're just a step over, and this one is too, of where we like to play. And that's why I took out Lorenzo Il Magnifico. He teamed up with Virginio Gigli and Flamini Brasini to do this game, and this game is just under this, and that's the type of thinky level of complexity we like. This is just a little bit over our threshold. Don't misunderstand me. This is a great game. We just got done playing it. It was easy to learn. There's just so much to think about. This is a hobbyist game. Yeah. This is a game for people who like to play board games and like to play heavier board games, and this is a wonderful one for that crowd. And I just really enjoyed our play of it. I would never play it with 4 because there's so much to think about this game.
There's a lot of downtime.
Yeah, your turn, you're comboing so much during your turn, and you have the ability to do so many different things that combo off of things that you've already started. Then that's what I'm talking about, these action point selection things, because you start out doing one particular action, but it may turn into other actions where you have action points you can spend on those. So you get lost a little bit, and that gets a little bit tricky. But the game is absolutely wonderful if you like this type of game. And I guess, and I said to Lori, if you have maybe 20 or 30 games in your library, this game, you might be able to keep games like this on a large number. But we have 170 board games, and this isn't the type of, I would never say, I don't think I would ever say, let's play Tiletum.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just,
It's too thinky.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun. I had a great time, but it's too thinky.
Yeah, I mean, I like playing games like Calico and Cascadia.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's just us, though.
Yeah, that's just us. There are people that are going to love this game. This came out in 2022, and Lori asked me if it would kick something out of my 2022 list. So I'm going to take just a brief moment and look and see if it actually would kick something out, because it is a very good game. And I appreciate the design by these guys, and they sure had to do a lot of work to make a game this nice. So let's see, 2022. So I'm looking at my list of top 10 for 2022, and the thing I have to ask myself, if I would put this in the top 10, what in my top 10 would I pick this to play over something in my top 10? Let me go down my top 10 if you haven't seen that video. Merchants of the Dark Road and Orichalcum tied for number 1. I would pick both those games before I would pick to play this. Verdant, I would pick Verdant to play over this. Clank Catacombs, we love that game. Mm-hmm. I would not pick this over that. I would not pick it over Ascension Tactics, Caverna, Cave vs. Cave Big Box, Trekking Through History, Ark Nova, Guild of Merchant Explorers, and Foundations of Rome. I just wouldn't pick a game like this to put in my top 10. It wouldn't kick any of those out. So the answer to that question is no.
Okay.
Yeah, it would not make my top 10. Just because I think the game's in my top 10, and I'm an old man. And you can say that, and it's true. And it's the reason why I don't really gravitate towards this style of game. I mean, it's wonderful, and we had a great time playing it, and it's thinky, and there's a lot going on, and it's fun to go through those kinds of mental gymnastics, absolutely fun. But when I go to pick a game where we want to play, I wouldn't pick something this complex. But that's just me. I'm not smart enough for this game, I guess, is the bottom line.
Hey, you beat me. So you must be smart enough.
And I'm surprised. I did win this game. And Lori is much better at this game than I am, because she was telling me how to combo things. And a lot of times she gets my points for me.
Why he beat.
Yeah. And,
I helped him.
Because she's got a better intellectual mind than I do. So this game is smarter than I am, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I would much rather play games like Abyss and things. I mean, because
but I'm glad we got to play it.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful game. For those of you that love this, I'm not insulting this game whatsoever. I'm praising it. It's a great design. I really, really liked it. It just is too much to think about. I wish these guys would take their foot off the gas and do some more like Lorenzo, just a little bit. One less mechanic. I don't know, just so that the game is more approachable. On a whole, and the reason why I say that is because if you got this game out in 3 months from now and went to play it, you're going to have to review the rule book and watch a video. And I just don't really. We have what we do in board games. We put cheater notes. Lori makes them up. We put them on all our board games. When we get the game out to play it, we read down our cheater notes. Oh yeah, oh okay, can't do this, can do that. Yeah. In 5 minutes we're playing the board game. You couldn't do that with Tiletum.
There'd be a lot of notes for this.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of notes. But here's how the game is played. It all starts right here. In this corner of the board, you put a dice pool in this bag of dice, 1 dice per person of each color. Yeah. So we had, so there's 5 colors of dice. So there's 10 dice in this bag for 2 players. We roll them, and it has a value on this wheel of where you're going to place those dice, and then you'll take turns drafting those dice. Now you can affect the value of that dice by paying 2 gold, and when you pay 2 gold, you can move it. You know, like if this is a 2, if you play 2 gold, you can make it a 1 and move it to this section over here and take that action. Okay, or you can pay 2 gold and make it a 3. And put it over here and take that action. So you can manipulate the die values in this wheel. And that's pretty cool. I like it. You can do that because it gives you something else to think about, as if you need something else to think about. I almost rather you couldn't do that. but so you can do that. That's one more thing to think about when you're drafting dice from here. And when you take that die, the color of the die matters, because that's the color of resource you're going to take and the number of resources you're going to take. In other words, and I'm going to take dice off my player board here just for another example. this 6 were here, if this 6 were here, you could take this die and take 6 food, and that's the color of food in this game, this pink sort of color. And if you took this die, you would take 2 thread, I don't know, yarn?
Wool, I think it was wool.
2 wool. This 3 is iron, and this 4 would be iron. So you get the color, you get the picture. And there is a gold die too, where you, if you take that, you can take 4 gold, and gold is kind of a wild card. You can spend 2 of those to not only manipulate dice, but you can spend 2 of them to substitute for any resource when you're trying to complete contracts and so forth. But anyways, you're going to draft dice off this wheel, and you're going to do that by taking, first of all, the resources of the value that's on that color of die. Then you will take that many action points that's on this wheel of that particular action. And so you have these action point tokens, and I would suggest using these every time. And then, once you take your die, you take in your resource, you put your die on your board, over here on your player board, and then you start taking and spending those action points. And when you do that, because of the type of game that this is, as you're spending those points, you're going to be able to do other things. So in this particular instance, if you were doing the merchant action and you were moving around the board, you could take tiles that give you more actions. Like this one's a character tile, and it has a guy's head on it, and you get 2 action points on character tiles. So if you're moving your merchant around and you're taking this off one of the cities as one of your action points, so you've just spent maybe 3 of your 4 action points. Now you've taken this tile and you can put it in your storage over here, and you can spend that. And you don't have to spend it at the end of your turn. You can spend it during your turn. So when you're doing that, once you get these, you got 2 action points to spend in characters, so you could place a character which would give you another action depending on if you place this character here out of your storage into a building, you get 3 action points for scrolls now. So now you're like, okay, well I've only spent 1 of these, I've placed it, now I get 3 scroll actions. You see where I'm going? So now you've done 3 different actions, and you've got action points in each one of those categories. So it's easy to get lost. I wish they would have made action point tokens for each action. That way, once you pick this up, you can say, okay, I get 2 character actions. I'm going to take 2 character action points into my hand. Now I've placed this guy. That gives me 3 scroll actions. I'm going to get 3 scroll point tokens into my hand, because you don't have to spend them all at once. You can do a character action, then go back to doing a scroll, because you can daisy chain this stuff together, and it can get a little confusing, is my point of this whole diatribe. So it all revolves around this dice track and this dice drafting. You'll take the die and take this tile, and most of the time you will take a tile. You don't have to, but most of the time you'll take it, because it's more beneficial for you to do so. At the last round, you may not need that tile or do that action, so you may not want it. But for the most part, you want to think along terms of being efficient, so you want to choose a die that you can use that tile also. And so you'll take that tile, take the dice, take the resources, and again, just start daisy chaining those moves together as best you can. So a turn can be quite long. I mean, a turn can take 5-10 minutes. You can, because you're thinking about the things you want to do and what all the different actions can lead to other actions. So it just becomes quite the puzzle to unravel. And also on your player board, once you get some things done, you get to place these booster tokens on different sections of this wheel, so that you not only get the action points that are on the wheel, but you get the +2 them, +1, or whatever. And there is even a +3 that I never did place. Did you?
No, I didn't get to mine either.
And to put on that action wheel, so that you get even more action points to spend. And it's very cool. And then there's so many things going on. You're going to travel around this board with architects and merchants. You're going to put buildings down for your merchants. You're going to put pillars down with your architects, and then buy these cathedrals and pick up benefit tiles that are in the different cities. And then at the end of every round, of course, there's a fair, just like Vinos Deluxe. You're going to have, it has a wine fair. You're going to have a fair in randomized cities. I don't forget how many. Oh, I imagine there's a tile for every city on the board. And then Tiletum is the only one that's printed on the board. And then you do 3 random cities, and you're going to get points for. And I'll turn these back over, because we turn them over once you score them. And you got fairs that you're going to do, and different goals you're going to accomplish in each one of these fairs. And it tells you right on the tile, there's different things like this one is 5 plus 3, which would be 8, and then plus whatever you are at on the king track. So that would be 8 plus wherever you're at. Right now I'm on 7, so that'd be 15 points I'd score at that fair, if I happen to be in that position right now on the board. But so there's a lot going on. It has endgame scoring on the board, so you have to be aware of that. Exactly how the game is scored. It's, you know, you're going to be able to place all these pillars and houses you're placing out here on the board are going to multiply times each other. You're going to get points for how many of these columns that you fill in on your player board, and points for how many resources you have left over.
And the king track.
And the king track is points also. But that's yeah, that's not on the board.
Oh, no, it's not.
So. But yeah, so that's very nice that they put that on the board. I really, really appreciate that. It is a fun game. We had a good time playing it. I rented it from it's not my library. I should have mentioned that up front. This is a series where we're doing library videos. We have a game store, and I was in there the other day picking up some sleeves, and you can check out games like a library. I think it was $5 maybe?
$5.
Something like that. $5 to bring it home for 5 days.
If you play it there.
And so we brought the game home, and we've done it before. And so I was anxious to play this game because I had seen it, I was curious about it, and after I watched a playthrough online, I was like, it looks like a pretty good game. And I wasn't disappointed. It's fantastic. So if you like heavy Euros with a lot to think about, this would be for you. I would never play this game 4-player. Again, turns can be 5 to 10 minutes long because you're daisy chaining and thinking about, because sometimes you have to back up and say, wait a minute, if I do that first and then do this and then do that, then I can do that. You know, I mean, you're going to do that constantly in this game. And that's a beautiful thing for some people. For us, it was just a little bit over that where we like to play. At 2-player, people who know this game can get it done in an hour. So if you like to play games in an hour and think really hard, this game's for you. It's a really, really good game. But 4-player, man, I'm telling you, it would take 2 hours. Yeah, even if players know the game. Yeah,
especially if you have somebody that's got any kind of AP, because there is so many choices.
And if it's a new person, forget about it, man. It's going to take them forever. This isn't a tough teach, I didn't think.
No, it was relatively easy to learn, and I actually think, like you said, if we got it out in 2 months, we might be able to pick it back up, because it's not a difficult rule set.
I just wish they had peeled back one more thing, just taking one mechanic out of here. I don't know. I'm not a board game designer, but
if we were to buy this and keep it, I would make tokens. For us to use for each.
I think that would help if each action had different tokens.
Because you almost feel like you have to finish one action before you start the next, so you don't get confused. And it doesn't work like that. You can do them in any order, but well, we're older too and lose our way easier.
I want to tell you about it. Hey guys, it's a wonderful game. I know some of the things I said may have sounded negative, but there isn't. The game is wonderfully produced, wonderfully designed. These guys are fantastic. Simone Luciano and Danielle Tascini. Again, we haven't kept any of their games. I do, but this was
other than Lorenzo.
This is Simone Luciani, and we used to have Grand Austria Hotel.
We had Grand Austria for quite a while, and we had Marco Polo.
And we had and Marco Polo. I'm glad you mentioned that. That is a perfect example of what I wish they would do right now, because that was the step under all these T games. Even Zolkin Mind Calendar, we had that for a long time.
We had that.
And it was a wonderful thinky game. Absolutely fantastic. That gear mechanism is legendary in board gaming. And it's one of the greatest mechanisms I've ever seen in board gaming. But you know what? I sold that game.
We even had that game all tricked out.
So yeah, that Marco Polo, I think it was early in their board gaming careers, I guess, because it's been out for a long time. But that's the level of complexity we really like. As a matter of fact, I said to Laura the other day, should we get that game back? Yeah. But anyways, that's the type of complexity level we really enjoy. And Lorenzo, Il Magnifico, I really, really love that. But this is a wonderful game, you guys. Yeah, enough's enough. I'm going to wrap it up and take it back to the game store. And they had this on sale at Cool Stuff for $29.99, like, during Christmas, and I hope you guys, if you like this type of game, you grabbed it, because that's a great deal. This is a nicely produced Euro game. A lot of nice
components for $30.
Man, the box weighs quite a bit. This is a nice game. Alrighty, that's it. That is Tiletum or Tiletum or Tiletum. I don't know. Tiletum. Yeah, it's a great game. 2022. If you get a chance to go to a convention, do it and play this game, because I think you'll like it. if you like Teotihuacan, if you like Xolcan the Mayan calendar, if you like Tequenu.
I liked it way better than I expected to. Yeah. I didn't think I'd like it, and I really did.
If you like their game designs, you're really going to love this, you guys. And so you go out and pick this up if you haven't already. And again, that was a great deal for $29.99. I think, wow, you can't do better.
I would play the game again.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's one we need to own.
Yeah, we get out Orichalcum.
Yeah.
Something
quick.
Hey, love you guys. Keep on board game. Best hobby on the planet. See you next time, Bones Collector. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Commercial-Free Bones Collector. And today we're going to be presenting a game called Red Cathedral to you. Laura and I just got done playing it 3 times. And Red Cathedral came out in 2020. It's designed by Isra C. and Shay S. The art is by Kima Roman and Pedro Soto. The art is outstanding in this game. It's for 1 to 4 players, so it has a solo variant. It's an area majority, contract fulfillment, dice rolling, and rondel action selection game, and the most points wins the game. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Red Cathedral's been in my top 100 since it came out in 2020, and it was the number 6 game that I selected that particular year. And I haven't lost my love for this game after playing it these 3 times. It just reinforced how wonderful this game design is by these folks. I don't know these designers. I don't know if this was their first game. I probably should have looked it up. I'm not familiar with them. But in this game, and I wanted to put this on with Tiletum because Tiletum used that rondel dice drafting mechanism in the game that drives that particular game. In this game, this rondel action selection mechanism drives this game. And that's why I wanted to do them together. Because if you watched Tiletum, then you saw that there's a lot going on in Tiletum. And there's a lot going on here, just a little bit less. And I think that makes this game a little more approachable for everyone, and certainly for Lori and I, who enjoy crunchy games that aren't too crunchy. So this seemed to hit the sweet spot for us. Now in this game, you're going to make 3 choices to begin your turn. You're going to take a banner off your player board and claim a contract, or you're going to claim a die, or you're going to deliver goods to a contract to fulfill it. Those 3 things. And it's all on your player boards. I'll show you one here. And I would, if you play this game, familiarize yourself with this player board. There's A, B, and C. And those are your 3 choices you're going to make on your turn. And then it has some other things on here you need to understand also. Your items that you can place, special items that you can place once a cathedral tower has been built. You can not only place one of those special items, and the cost is right there on the board, how much it is to place them, but then you can also add to the point total by adding gems, and you get prestige points for that. There are 2 kinds of points in this game. There's prestige points and there's recognition points. The prestige points at the beginning of the game can really move you ahead. And you get prestige points by placing these special items on these cards, these finished contract cards that make the cathedral towers. There's a lot that goes on in this game, and that's just one of the things. But what I wanted to show you was this action selection mechanism. In Tiletum, you drafted the die, and everything daisy chained off of that drafting, that die you drafted. Here, you're going to select a die, and you're going to move it, that numerical value, around this rondel. And so this is a yellow 4. If you selected that die, you'd simply go 1, 2, 3, 4, and put it in that section of the rondel, and that's the resources that you're going to get. In this case, it would be 2 wood. And because there's another die there, it's 2 times that. So you'd be getting 4 wood. Plus, if you selected that yellow die and you had something in your yellow die space in your workshop, which you get these special benefits off these contract cards by placing a banner, and I'll show you what I mean. If you placed one of these banners and took one of these special tiles, you claim that contract, and it's your obligation to finish that. But you would take this special tile and you'd place it in a workshop over here that is open and available. And because I took the banner off this white die section, I would put that right here in my white die section on my player board. So if that was already in place and I was using this white die, then I could choose to take a piece of gold because I have that benefit in my workshop. And so when you're using this rondel, you're thinking about the numerical value of the die, where it's going to end up. You're thinking about because you're going to make a decision as to what you need. You're going to think about the color of the die because it may activate a workshop. You're going to think about, are there other dies in that section, because it's going to multiply. You can have up to 3 dice in one of these sections, no more. You couldn't put a 4th dice in there, but 3 dice. And then you get 3 times those resources if you manage to pull that off. Also, in each quadrant, there's one of these action cards that you want to look at, because you may need something to do that you can't get with the dice. Like this one here, it gives you $1, and it gives you the opportunity to spend $1 to deliver a good to one of these contracts. But you might need that, and you will need that. And this game is so tight, you will have so many instances in your turns where you're not going to be able to get what you want. And so you have to be able to manipulate those dice and be aware of these action cards and the various ways there are to get what you need. So that is just the beauty of this game. It is not an embarrassment of riches. The game is tight all the way to the end. You're just inching and just trying to squeeze as much as you can out of your turn to score as many points as you can, because you score points and get money for completed contracts, and you get prestige points for completing and placing these special tokens on the tower sections themselves after they've been completed. Now, what I mean by that is, once one of these, let's say this tower had been completed here in this row, we'll take these things off of this tower section, and you can see the bottom has a door for people to enter the cathedral, and you have a door on your board. Well, to be able to free up that door, you take one of these special tokens and place it in that space where this door is at. This door has to come over here to the center of your board, and then you have to pay a wood to place it, and then you can also add gems to that section when you're placing that in order to get extra points. But you want that majority. This is a majority, area majority thing on these towers, because they're going to score at the end of the game. So you're trying to get, when you have your banner on there, that counts for one thing. These decoration tokens count for one thing. So if you had a door on here, there's 2. And let's say I placed this cross on top of this tower, that would be 3, and so on. So you're trying to get area majority by doing that in this game, because again, at the end of the game, you're going to not only scoring these contracts as you fulfill them, but at the end of the game, once they're turned over, you're scoring the towers of the cathedral themselves. So it's so awesome. This game is so much fun. We played it in 45 minutes, which is perfect for us. It's a crunchy little Euro game that'll really put you through your paces in a short period of time. If you want to do well in this game, you have to play this game quite a few times. I think we've played this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So I'm just now feel like I could sit down and really optimize my turns, because there's going to be times when you move one of these dice, you're like, oh my gosh, there's no other dice there, so I'm only getting one set of resources. It would be so nice if there was even just one more dice there, so I could get twice that. But the action card that I'm going to use, I need to make a delivery, but I need resources to make the delivery, and you have to choose on your player board between placing a banner, making a delivery, or choosing a dice. So you're going to go ahead and choose a die on the rondelle to get some resources you're going to need to make a delivery. But this action card has an opportunity for one delivery on it. Maybe that's all you need to complete a contract, as long as you pay $1. The money's, again, is very tight in this game, so you're going to have to balance those things as you play the game. It is a fantastic game, ladies and gentlemen. I love the artwork in the center of this rondelle. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Everything about this game, the production is perfect. I don't know if there's... I don't know. I don't know what other people are playing, but this game is fantastic. I would choose it over Tiletum, just because Tiletum or Tiletum, or wherever the name of the game is a very, very good game. It's excellent, actually. But this just gets the same job done in a shorter span of time. And that's what I'm talking about when we're playing board games. And yes, we're senior citizens. We just don't want to sit down and play a large game. Look how tiny this board is. I really love this thing. And I did want to mention around this scoring track, I mentioned 2 types of points: prestige points and recognition points. There's a prestige point every 5 spaces at the beginning of the game. Then it goes every 4 spaces, then it goes every 3 spaces, and eventually the prestige points and recognition points meet up. Prestige points will get you faster around this track at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
If you're scoring recognition points, it goes slower. So at the beginning of the game, you want those prestige points because as the game wears on and the point track goes around the board, they get closer and closer to being identical. So as long as you get them early in the game, it really can boost your score, and that you get those by putting these decorations on the board. There's just so much to talk about this game, and there's so many things, superlatives I could use to explain why this is an excellent game, but I hope I told you enough about it. You get a whole bunch of these cathedral cards to build in the center that are different, and a bunch of different action cards, because you're only going to use 4 each game. And so you got a bunch of different ones of those to keep some variability in the game and keep you on your toes, because once you get used to certain things, you don't want to switch it up, but it's always wonderful to do that because the game plays differently. Put different action cards out here, it's going to be a different game. And you will wring your brain out trying to figure out how you're going to get what you need to complete these contracts and to make things happen on your player board in the workshops so that you can score as many points as possible in a very efficient manner. Yeah, the gems are nice, the bricks are wood, the gold is wood, and all these wood resources. I mean, the only thing, if I had a minor teeny complaint, I dislike square dice. I've never liked them. I don't know why they don't put sculpted dice in games all the time. They just don't roll very well, square dice. But hey, that's a teeny little fault to find in an otherwise excellent board game design and board game published job by DeVere Games. Hey, if you haven't gotten this game, I think it's relatively inexpensive and still available. So yeah, Red Cathedral, man, it's fantastic. I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time on The Bones Collector. And remember to keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. I love every one of you. Bye-bye.